Hey, y'all, I'm Shane Sams, the host of the Flipped Lifestyle Podcast. Super excited to be back with you again today so that I can coach up one of our members of the Flipped Lifestyle community and let you listen in so that you can get all this information, you can hear the discussion, and you can pick up some tips and nuggets of information that you need to move your online dream forward as well. Super excited to welcome Dave Braun to the podcast today. Dave's an awesome member of the Flipped Lifestyle community who is not only taking massive action in his business, but he also is in the forums, in the Facebook group, hanging out on Q&As, and helping other people move their business forward. As well, we cover a lot of ground in today's podcast, but we're going to talk about how introverts can succeed online. Now, I'm the extroverted of the extroverts. I mean, I'm throwing up rainbows everywhere you can see, right? But I'm not you don't have to be an extrovert. You don't have to be out front. You don't have to be the star of a brand to be successful online. We're going to talk about how introverts can succeed in online business today. We're going to talk about setting priorities to take action and finally do your to-do list. Finally move your business forward. We're going to talk about setting priorities on the calendar and how you can do that more effectively. And also, we're going to talk about pricing. We're going to talk about setting price points for your membership today so that we can make sure you're charging enough and that you're also charging that exact amount that's going to give you really good retention for that consistent, predictable income. I really enjoyed my conversation with Dave. I know you're going to get a lot out of this chat. So without further ado, let's get started. Welcome to the Flipped Lifestyle Podcast, where life always comes before work. We're your hosts, Shane and Jocelyn Sams. We're a real family that figured out how to make our entire living online. And now we help other families do the same. Are you ready to flip your life? All right, let's get started. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Flipped Lifestyle Podcast. It is great to be back with you again this week. I am super excited because I have another member of the Flipped Lifestyle community on the program today so that I can help them take their business to the next level in a one-on-one coaching call. And we're letting you listen in so that you can take your online dream to the next level as well. I am excited to welcome to the program Dave Braun. What's up, Dave?
Jane, it's great to be here. I'm so excited, man. This is going to be fun.
I am pumped. I'm looking. You are so active in the community, and like not just asking great questions and doing great things, but jumping into conversations and stuff. And man, that's what it takes. It takes all of us working together to solve the challenges and the problems in our business and to help each other. And one reason we started the community is because, Jocelyn and I realized very quickly that we don't have all the answers. And I was like, man, what if we had hundreds of people together and we could all like pool our brain power? So I just wanted, before we get started, I wanted to thank you for being so amazing in the community.
Well, thank you. It's, it turns out that I learn, what's the value of one good nugget, one little idea, and I get it from other folks. Just got one the other day from somebody about doing some Facebook ads to an opt-in and testing them and seeing what's going to be the most popular. It's
Love it, man.
Duh.
I learned too by helping. Even me trying to find the answer helps me learn. Some people are intimidated to talk, I think, in the forums, but it's kind of cool because if you'll just go in and process and type and be like, well, what if you did this? What if you did that? And then all of a sudden your brain kind of connects a pathway that didn't have, and you come up with a solution to your problem. So just thinking about all this stuff really helps. So before we get started, let's get some background and some context for the audience out there. Tell us a little bit about you, about your background, and about what you're doing in your online business.
Okay. Well, I'm Dave Braun, and my main business right now is Pro Website Creators, where we do websites and stuff like that. And then I've got another business with my partner where we've developed Hire My VA from. And my business partner, Larry Broughton, he's a former Green Beret. He and I, in that business, Ugozi, we coach a lot of entrepreneurs. And out of that business, and a lot of that coaching is in the veteran space, even though I'm not a veteran, he is. And out of that eventually has come what we're here to talk about is HireMyVA.com, where what we try to do is we help you to reclaim your freedom through hiring and thriving with virtual assistants without breaking the bank. And what we say in our podcast is not breaking the bank, breaking your bank.
Right, exactly. That's the bank you don't want to break, right?
Right. That's the most important bank is your bank, not
Forget the real bank. We got to keep our own bank healthy. That's what we're doing here, right? So you help veterans who are maybe entrepreneurs who need team and hire my VA, like trains them to train VAs or trains them to hire VAs or actually provides VAs. What does it do?
Yeah, so that's a good question. So we in our coaching and our mastermind programs, those are kind of separate from Hire My VA. And what we've done is we've spun that off to help people with virtual assistants. And it's not just veterans, it's anybody. It's anybody. Now, our philosophy behind that is, you can go to a service and you can have them get you a VA, and you can hire one through them, or you can do it yourself. And so our philosophy is we want to train you to fish, not to give you a fish.
Mm.
So in other words, we've got in our program a 3-step process to prepare yourself to how to hire someone, and then to thrive with that virtual assistant.
Gotcha.
And we specialize in Philippine virtual assistants, but 95% of the program is all about just building your team, hiring any type of remote assistant.
Awesome. And I this is so needed, man. I mean, I'm telling you, the biggest, people think that you make it. You know what I'm saying? But you don't make it. When you go up the ladder or you go up the success, mountain, you're just trading different problems at each level for another, not problems. You're trading different challenges for other challenges. And I tell you right now, it was a heck of a lot easier for me to make my first $1 million than it was for me to hire my first teammate that worked. I mean, it was hard. I mean, it's really hard because we're none of us, in the way education works, in the way college works, in the way even the real world when you first get out of college or whatever, or get your first job works. You're not trained to do this. We are not trained to lead. We are not trained to hire.
Absolutely.
Even in high school, if you're a captain on a football team or the cheerleading team or the soccer team or whatever you are, you still didn't get to pick the people on your team. Right? Like you didn't have to go out and find your goalie. No, we don't know how to do this. So this is and I'd say that we spent 13 months creating the job that gave us freedom, but we spent 3 years hiring an employee that actually worked. And it was awesome. And like now my team is like, I mean, we love each other. It's like a family, but the pain and scars of hiring all these people.
We all go through that and see. So we come into wanting to do our own business, our own online business, as what do we want out of that, right? Freedom. Like you guys flip your life. Ultimately, you want to create margin in your life, right? And you don't want to work all the time, but you want to do what you love, right? But the problem is once you become successful on your own, you are going to be inundated with clients. You're going to not have any time anymore. And so it's like, how are you going to move on from there?
Yeah.
Really, the only way, if you want to fulfill your potential and to have your business do what it needs to do, is you've got to build a team. I've done presentations at WordCamps. Are you familiar with those?
Yeah, for sure.
WordPress community. I've done a couple presentations.
Also, real quick, but just because we're throwing VA means virtual assistant, guys. That's what it means if you're listening. Yeah. We're lost in conversation here. But VA, virtual assistant, like you hire someone from another country because their economy works differently than us, and basically you can hire them for much lower rates, but for them it's good wage, right? And you can get help and support in the back end of your business, virtually or whatever.
And it doesn't even have to be everybody from another country. It could be, you have somebody next to you, but the principles and how you prepare yourself, hire and thrive with them are basically the same.
Yeah, working remotely. Yeah, for sure.
And one of the things that I don't think a lot of people realize, and I didn't realize until I was given a presentation about this, is that if you are a solopreneur, and you have a group of clients, you are actually having your clients at some type of a risk if something happens to you.
Yeah.
Because eventually it will happen to you. A couple of years ago, my wife and I, we were going to go on a quick little vacation away, and her stomach was bothering, and it turned out she had to have an emergency appendectomy.
Oh my gosh.
So I'm out with her in the hospital, and if I didn't have a team behind me to help, my business comes to a standstill. I'm not serving my clients.
Yeah,
right?
man. Well, like,
So
listen, 2 months ago,
really,
I got COVID-19 and I ended up in the hospital with pneumonia. And I was like,
I remember
am I
that.
going on a vent? What's about to happen here? And, like, I mean, it was really awful. It was terrible. Like I got this horrible, like lung spasms or something, but I didn't work for 6 weeks, but my team just came on. We were 13 weeks ahead on our podcast. They were, they were making extra plan. Like they went and back and got some old episodes and created some best of reruns just in case we needed them. And they handled the community forums, and Jocelyn had COVID-19 at the same time, my wife. So like, we were out. My son, Isaac, also had it. Right.
Right.
So like there was no possible way that I could have worked for those 6 weeks. And our team is completely remote. My team's all US based. They're all Kentucky based right now because we're trying to hire in the state, baby. And but like it's the same principles. Like it's a different kind of management when people are not on the same time zone or in different areas or in different places. And I'll tell you what I've really learned about virtual assistant stuff. Let's just say team VA is what it is. We're hiring remotely. That's fine. Because that hiring remotely, I think, is actually way better than hiring like in your town. It is valuable to be able to get together. But like when I'm hiring remotely, I can expand the talent pool to the whole world. And there are some really, really talented people in every country on the face of the earth, every state in the union. And it's amazing to be able to do that in this day and age. But what I've found too has been really powerful is all the things like freedom is a big goal for us, right? But one of the core values we have in our company is everyone that works here gets to live a version of the flipped lifestyle, right? Like even my personal assistant, I have a person who comes in my home every day, right? And she does laundry, she does errands, she does organization, goes to the grocery store. She keeps me from having to do all these errands and things so that I can focus on our job, which creates the wealth and the income that helps everybody else thrive, right? And she's awesome. I mean, she is amazing. She does a great job. But when we hired her, we were like, okay, this job is very intense. Like you don't get to stop. There's no taking breaks, right? Like, I mean, she comes in at 10 o'clock and she's moving till 3 o'clock, right? But when we structured the job, we were like, okay, well, can she come in later? Like, I don't want her to work a 9 to 5. So she works a 10 to 3. You know what I'm saying? She may have to make a couple appointments for me on the way home on the phone, but that's cool. Like she's off. She gets to take her kids to school. She gets to come home and be there when the kids come home from school. Right. And also the work, like she loves being active and moving and physical and running around. Like, right. Like I don't like to do any of that stuff that she does, but like, it's cool because she wants to stay busy. Right. She's probably listened to 1,000 audiobooks. For our job because she just rolls, man. She throws the AirPods in and she does it. And all the people on our team, the virtual assistants, I guess what you would call, our virtual remote team, we've tried to hire people who love doing the things that set us free. Like I hated editing my podcast. I enjoyed the creative process, but I didn't like to sit down for 2 hours and edit the podcast. It really got on my nerves, right? But Hannah, who does the podcast, loves it. Like I ask her in her quarterly review every time, like, what's your favorite thing about your job? Editing. Straight up. So even and like the people in the Philippines, like we used to pay our people when we had Filipino VAs, we would pay them double whatever the going rate was in their city. And that was amazing for them because they got to do things that they could use their skills and they got to be paid double what most people in their area were making. And it's a win-win for everybody. Everybody gets freedom. Everybody gets employment. Everybody wins. When you start hiring a team, it's just as important as helping your customers to me.
Yeah, and a lot of the stuff that you just talked about, Shane, that's part of the prepare part of our program. Is you were preparing yourself. You figured out, well, here's what I really need. Here's what I hate to do. Here's the kind of person that I need to maybe take over that, right? And so a lot of times, what happens is people don't prepare themselves. They don't think about their core values. Right. They don't do all of that stuff. And so they hire the wrong people. Yeah. And then at some point, and I think you had experienced this, you had to kind of start over.
Yeah. Listen, and I do a 5 fails Friday email about once a month.
Yeah.
It's like my biggest mess ups of the last couple weeks or whatever. I save them up.
Those are fun, by the way. I love them. I had my wife read them. She loves them.
I'm glad. I tried to write them more often, but I found that they were a lot better when I just waited a couple weeks and was like, oh, that's a good one, right? Like, so, but I write those emails like all the time. But if I had to write a blog post about failing at hiring and building a team, it would be like 57 fails Friday, right? Because anything that you could do, I have earned this side of my gray hairs right here. If you're watching on YouTube, through the hiring process, man. But and I don't think I've got it figured out yet either. Like sometimes, you even struggle. Like, well, what do I tell my people to do? How do I offload tasks? Should I do this? That's a constant struggle. But we actually are in this new program. It's called Wealth Dynamics, and it's all about building your team through flow, like trying to get everybody in flow. Like I'm in flow when I'm talking, when I'm on the podcast talking to you, or I'm on a Q&A with the community, or even in texting when I'm emailing people, right? Like when I'm talking one to many, that's when I am most in flow. So our entire last quarter was getting me in flow, like get everything off Shane's plate, but talking and building relationships and serving the community one to many. Now, other people are our chief of staff. Her name's Angela. Yeah. She's in flow when she's ticking boxes and scheduling everything and getting all the gears to the trains to run on time. So we've even been going down the rabbit hole, like, well, what does this look like for this customer service person to be in flow? And there's a great resource for that. It's called the Flow.coach. If anybody's out there building a team, I highly recommend. My buddy of mine named Trace the Net. Shameless plug, Trey. You're awesome. But it goes along with what we're talking about here. Like, it's not just get rid of all the things you hate, right? That's the first step, is identifying those things, because that's preventing you from focusing on what you're really good at. All right, so let's circle back around here now, and let's talk about the business itself. So we got a good feel of what you're doing. You're building out this thing that trains people who are going to go out and hire VAs for the first time. You're going to get them to where they can do that. And then you're going to coach them through the process, even beyond. Like once you hire, that's only the beginning. Once you get to hire, you're going to coach them and help them to make sure they're building the team correctly. You're kind of like the dad running alongside of the bike.
That's
right. And there's somewhere ahead. I'm going to let you go. And you know what I mean?
The guide, right?
You're the guide. So tell me, like, what's holding you back? It sounds like you got a good grasp on avatar. You got a good grasp on the niche and the product. What mindset things or internal things, like how are you getting in your own way from going out and making this an amazing thing that can help a lot of entrepreneurs?
I think part of it is the marketing aspect. One of my goals this quarter is to make sure I have my sales and marketing system set up for this.
Okay.
But part of it too is that I'm not a big fan of social media, but I know I need to use that. So it's kind of like, as I'd mentioned in my, my pre-fill out form, is that I got to come up with a name for.
I got to come up with a name for that, Dave, because we call it the intake form, but I always feel like I'm bringing people into the prison. Like, all right, let me see his intake form. Delouse him. All right, put him in cell 6. I got to come up with a better name for that thing. All right, but you said you're like more introverted or something like that.
Yeah, I'm a little bit on the introverted end, and I don't enjoy social media. And so it's like I got to work on the system, which I'm going to be doing this quarter, to get it to where I'm not doing it as much. One of my VAs is going to be doing some of the social media for me.
Yeah.
Part of it is getting her to that point. And then what I like to do is I like to be interviewed on podcasts, and we host a podcast. Larry and I do that. And, it's a lot of fun. I like that. So this is kind of like the format of what I want to do to get out.
Yeah.
And then it's all about, just going out and reaching out and saying, hey, here's what we offer to be on your podcast. You might be interested. Here's where we've been on a podcast as a sample. You want to book us for some time, that kind of a thing. Yeah. So
what does your partner do? Like, what is his role in your partnership? Is he outgoing? Is he introverted, or is he different?
Yeah, he's a little bit. His role in this is more like so what we do is we have 2 monthly calls, Q&As, following your format.
Okay.
And then he also helps me with a podcast.
Gotcha.
At some point, he's going to be the one that's going to be out on a podcast as well, getting interviewed. And he's done a lot of that in the past. He's got just a few other things going on in his life right now. So the main part of it is on me.
I gotcha. So you kind of, I can understand liking the one-on-one format as someone who's usually more introverted, because you get to go out and talk and have a conversation, especially on your own show. But like Jocelyn never minded that. Now, even Jocelyn even decided about a year ago, she's like, I don't think I want to be on the podcast anymore. Mm-hmm. And because she's introverted, she said it drained her energy. And she was like, I love our people, but I would prefer to, like, Jocelyn's always in the forums typing and talking to people.
Right.
And that's where she prefers to be, because she's got the screen between her and everybody else. She can think through her answer. She's not on the spot. So that's just the way she prefers to communicate. So she stepped back and let me, who likes to talk and likes to be out front, go out and do the podcast circuit. Right. So it's good that there's a plan eventually to have that. But like, if you right now are like, man, I don't want to be on all the podcasts. I don't want to be out in the front. I'm not the person who wants to be on social media every day doing the story and the Instagram live and all that stuff, like, you don't have to build it that way. Even like, you can do that later when maybe Larry has more time. Right. Mm-hmm. But like, why not just focus on something else right now? Like, why not just be like, you know what? I'm only going to focus on advertising. Why do you have to go out on podcasts right now? Like, you don't, just because you see other people doing that, or you don't doing something you don't mind is fine, but that will eventually create burnout. Even if it's in your zone of expertise, it's not in your zone of genius. You know what I'm saying? So is there another channel that we could focus on until that point? You just focus on your podcast, because that doesn't drain you. And maybe you don't do social media. Maybe you don't do the podcast circuit. Maybe you just be like, I'm going to work on ads. I'm going to figure out this ad game. I'm going to set a budget and I'm going to make ads. And I'm not going to be the guy on the camera in the ads. I'm just going to put stock photo and write a good copy. And I'm going to sit behind my computer and chill. And this is going to be the way I get leads and I get customer acquisition. Have you ever thought about doing that?
Yeah, kind of like at the beginning when we talked about, figuring out what opt-in was optimal and what got the most amount of clicks and all of that. Doing that with Facebook ads, that is something I want to do. I should probably clarify on the podcast. I like to be on them. It's fine, and I view that as a one-to-many.
Yeah.
Right? So in other words,
I just don't ever like to hear an entrepreneur say it's fine. Like, that's the way you've said it twice now. You know what I mean? It's like, it's fine. It's like, know what I mean?
The fulfillment of it is more my bag, right? If that makes sense.
Oh yeah. Your retention. I know exactly. You're like the fulfillment of the course and the back end and the product and the success of the client and the result. But when you like, that's the exact line, Dave, that me and Jocelyn have in our business now. Like, I'm only fulfillment when she needs me to be on a stage, like Q&As, podcasting, like whatever, right? She is fulfillment, serving the community, getting like when a course needs to be made, Jocelyn will come to me and say, you need to make this video.
Right.
But then she puts it where it goes for fulfillment. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So
man.
I guess maybe that is a little bit of a missing piece in our business, is that
out front face kind of role.
And Larry has served as that in most instances, and he does a great job at it. It's just at this point with what's going on, he's in the hospitality business, and that's getting like killed by COVID, and so we're working through those issues. So right now we kind of don't have that, and
you don't have to have it. You don't have to have it though. That's what I'm saying. Like there are plenty of rabbit holes to go down where you don't have to have that, where you can focus. And that's, I was just using ads as an example, or interviews. Like one-on-one interviews might be great. And if you don't mind doing it, go do that. But here's the problem. When I go on a show like that, I've still got to be out front promoting that appearance. It's like when Robert Downey Jr. is in a movie for Marvel. Like, he doesn't just get to film the movie. He's got to go on the talk shows. He's got to go in the advertising. He's got to go promote the show. So people, it's not like when I go, I just went on a radio show, a national radio show the other day with like 1 million listeners a night or something crazy. Right. And like, but afterwards we had pipelines built. I promoted it on social. I targeted that radio show's audience with ads. Like, I was constantly promoting the appearance myself to make sure that people knew about it, you know? So that is still a component. Even when you go on these other shows, you can't just let them go and let them go forever. But you could create systems behind you. Like you could instead of being out in front on social media, you can run an ad to the appearance. You know, you can write an email, so you're not having to be on social media. You can write an email to your list. You can write a blog post about your experience where you don't have to be out front. You don't have to be on social media. Now you've got a link to share, right? So you can bend promotion to the introverted side of the equation or the extroverted side of the equation without getting sucked down the vortex of things that are fine, right? Because, you know, I in 2012, I was living a good enough life. I was a school teacher. We were okay, got paid every Friday, but it ran out on Thursday, you know. We had health insurance, had a retirement. It was fine. It was fine. And I just made a decision that, you know, if I'm going to be an entrepreneur, I'm done with fine. Good enough ain't good enough. We got to be great. We got to live the flipped lifestyle, right? So I don't want you to settle for fine. I think that's the moral of the story here is I want you to be like, this is great. Oh man, yeah, I got to show up for an hour, but look at all this other stuff I got to do afterwards, and I don't have to worry about Larry, and he's taking care of his stuff, and you know, like we've created a system around your strengths that don't drain you until sooner or later you can hire someone. Like what that's called in Wealth Dynamics is a star. Like I'm a star profile. I'm like, whoa, put me on stage. I'll burn the house down. Right. And we have a star on our team as well. And we're training her to be on camera more and get her pushed forward more to take some of that pressure even off of me. Right. But it creates a presence. Like if Jocelyn doesn't want to be on camera, she could be on camera. You could totally hire that role out. But right now, you don't have to build it for that role. You can build it to meet more like the introverted side of your personality and make you happier, you know?
You know, I've been through a lot of the training in the back end of the course, and it's awesome. I loved what you said about bend promotion to the introverted side.
Yes. Find ways to be an introverted promoter. Like I know millionaires that have never been on camera. And they have an online business, right? I got a buddy, he's super introverted, and he just doesn't go on camera. He sits in the backside of his. He sits in the back. He does ads. All he does all day is plays with ads and sales funnels, and he tweaks his funnels. And you know, every once in a while he has to film himself just to have a video for the ad. But once that's done, he's going into the introverted side. He's not on this. Like I'm trying to talk on 5 podcasts a week. That's my extroverted side. Yeah. So I bent our business toward that. And I said, you know, we make money when I talk. So I'm going to go talk. Right. That's what I love to do. I love to meet and talk with real people. So I bent it toward the extroverted side. And I think our society glorifies extroverts too much. There's so many introverts that are just crushing it with different, blogging and all sorts of stuff, man. It's still viable. And you don't have to do it the way that everybody else does it and says to do it. You do have to be, you have to promote. You got to be seen to sell, right? Exactly. Yeah. But you can change the spotlight a little bit over to something else besides you. Cool.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Awesome stuff. Okay, so we'll tackle that. We'll keep wrestling with that. We'll keep going down the rabbit hole with that in the forums. But what else is holding you back? Is there anything external? Obstacles, business, marketing type questions, like with the partnership or the team, or what else could be holding you back, you know, besides your own stuff?
I guess it's probably the same answer that a lot of people give you, right? Is time. And that is kind of an excuse, but you know, with my other business and, you know, the coaching stuff that I'm doing with Larry, it does take, you know, a toll. We've only got so much time. Right. Yeah, man. So I've tried wrestling. I've wrestled with various ways to carve out time for it. I've tried stuff like, the first hour of every morning, or dedicate a couple of afternoons to it. But, you know, I tell you, sometimes stuff gets in the way. A lot of times it happens. Or just saying, I'm going to work all day Saturday on it. And sometimes that's successful and sometimes it's not. Depends upon what's going on.
Yeah, man. Often, just like everybody else, time is a priority issue. It's a choice issue. That's all it is, right? And we have choices that we definitely feel like we've backed ourselves into corners making, You know, like I got no choice but to take my kid to practice. I've made that choice to sign him up for the team. Therefore, it's on the calendar. So it becomes a non-negotiable, but it's still kind of negotiable if you really think about it, right? Like you could stop doing it if you wanted to. And I have this little tactic. I don't know where I got this. I don't know if I saw someone do this, but I've kind of come up with this in the last like year, and it's really helped me, especially with stuff I'm doing in my business. Okay. Well, number one, I ask myself this question. It's not what do I want to do? It's what am I willing to sacrifice to get it done? And I have to make that list. What am I willing to give up? And I look back at my journey, and every time that I accomplished something great in our business, or Jocelyn accomplished something great in our business, it always, every time, without fail, started with something we sacrificed. And we made the conscious decision to get rid of it. For example, when we decided to go all in on online business after we made some money online and we were like, this works, we've got to do this. We couldn't give up our job, but we could cancel our cable. And that saved us $100 a month, and it gave us the time we were watching TV back. And it was really hard the first week, but then it got better. And this was before Netflix and TV and all that stuff, right? This was before YouTube TV where you could just stream it, guys. So like there was nothing to watch. We just had to work on. But we made the conscious effort to do that. When we wanted to quit our job everybody asks me all the time, like, how did you quit your job in 13 months? Man, that's really fast, like to build a business and go. And I'm like, you know what we did? We sold our house. We literally moved out of a brand new house in a beautiful neighborhood, 2,400 square feet, pool, all of it. We gave that up and we moved into a house that was built in the 30s and remodeled in the 70s and still had the cabinets to prove it. And we moved in and we said, we are going to give this up to quit 6 months sooner, right? So it always starts with what are you willing to sacrifice, not what do you want is the driver, but what do you willing to sacrifice? Now, here's the kind of thing that adds on to that. It's one thing to write that list down. Then I say, how can I give 3 hours of I'm going to give 3 hours of my day to this thing 6 days a week. I know that sounds insane, but the good Lord worked 6 days and took a day off. We can work 6 days and take a day off if we want something bad enough, right? So I always go in and now I look at my calendar. So before anything else goes on that calendar, I have to assign those 3 hours to this thing. So I think about 168-hour grid, right? Before sleep, before anything, I'm going to dedicate 3 hours a day to this task. This work, I can give you a good example from the community of someone who applied this lesson. Her name is Jeanette Stein. You probably heard me talk about her before as a success story in the community. Jeanette had 6 kids, has 6 kids, was working full time. Her husband was working full time. And I gave her a plan and she's like, Shane, when am I going to do this? And I'm like, I don't know. Find 3 hours a day. You have to. So she got up at 4 a.m. to 7 and she just didn't sleep very good for 90 days and she got it done. Right. So I would challenge you to write down a list of things you're willing to let go of. And it doesn't have to be a 3 hour block of time. That's a mistake. Like right now, I wrote my workout down today. So I'm doing this right now with my well-being. I have a well-being goal this year where I want to work out a couple hours a day and really be mindful and quiet for an hour a day because my job is so intense. And I talk to so many people. I need an hour of silence and meditation. But I had today, when I was looking at the calendar and I was thinking about podcasting, I had to break it up into 3 different places. But it was the first thing on my calendar today. Before I eat, before anything, it went on the calendar first. Those 3 hours are gone out of my calendar. Now I'm forced to make those priority decisions. Okay. So if you can say ahead of time, I'm willing to sacrifice this. I've made the decision. What am I getting rid of? And I'm going to do this 3 hours a day, Monday through Saturday. I don't care what anybody says for the next 90 days. I'm doing this 3 hours a day, Monday through Saturday. I'm going to talk to my family. I'm going to tell my kids, say, this is a priority to me. It's really important to me. It's going on the calendar first. I love everybody. Don't worry. You're going on the calendar too, but this is going first. Then you're going to get it done. You're just going to get it done. Now, is that going to mess you up and make you feel really stressed out when you're like, oh, but I really wanted to do this? Yes. Yes, it is. But it's the only way to make it happen is to make it the priority to get that done. Does that sound overwhelming?
It sounds necessary.
Oh, that's good. Ooh,
right?
I want a shirt that says necessary.
Yeah,
that's good. I'm about consistent, prolific, relentless, necessary. I like that.
But you're right. It is overwhelming because I'm thinking, oh my gosh, all the other things that I'm in my brain right now is running through all the things that I'm giving up. And
you know why I pick, do you know why I picked 3 hours? When I used to try this with like an hour here and an hour there, and it was never enough time to get anything done, because I'm always going to get distracted 30 minutes of that on Facebook or something stupid. Right. And it really, when you take a 3-hour chunk out of the 16 hours you're awake every day, you've really got to prioritize. You don't, because then you got to put your kids and your spouse on there, and then you got to eat and exercise, and then you got to do other business tasks. Like, it makes you do something to make it work. Right. But it really does work. I mean, once you get that 3-hour block down there, on my calendar right now, it says 6 to 9 open, because I'm working on another project early in the morning. Right. So it's like, it's there. It's just 6 to 9's open. It's good. You can do this with, like, there's only so many ways you can do that. Like, if you go 3 things a day, 3-hour blocks, you're going to make so much progress, and you're still going to have like 6-7 hours for you and your family. Right. So it's a great way to prioritize by just saying, I have 3-hour blocks. This is it. What am I going to get done? 3 of them might be myself and my fitness. 6 of them are probably going to be 2 projects at work. The rest is for my wife and my kids. But you have to let go. You have to let go of things when you do that. You got to say no to something in your life if you're going to say yes to something else. And that's a good mechanism to just give you a framework to kind of put you in the mode.
I'm silent because I'm processing.
I see. I know. You're gonna have to go back and listen to this. And I saw you writing it down there. You're sitting there taking notes and writing, looking. I can see the wheels turning. If you're watching this on YouTube, you'll see the gears turning too.
Well, go ahead. But I'll tell you one thing is that, for those of us who we own our own businesses, like you and me, it is our choice, right? It is our choice what we spend our time on.
Every minute of the day.
And it's our obligation to say, what is the best use of my time? What is gonna get me to my goals? What does God want me to do with that time?
Right? That's right, man. And it's not even the best use of your time. I got some guys I text with every morning, and we give each other just down the road all the time. We're just constantly making fun of each other and whatever. And I tell everybody, and somebody posted, like we do every morning, hey guys, what are y'all working on today? Now these are super high level CEOs. Like, these are guys they've got Flip Lifestyle figured out. They've got control of their time. They've got team in place. And I said, oh man, I got a couple podcasts, got some workouts I want to do, and man, I got an idea or two for some emails that they want to write. And like, we call ourselves, we have a saying that says, be the general with each other. Like, be the general. Like, a buddy of mine says that and it's like, be the leader. The general doesn't do this, doesn't do that. And he goes, would a general or a king write the emails? And I said, if he wants to, right? Because you know what, man? You know what I wanted to do today? Talk to Dave Braun and write some emails. So I shot a message to my team to do the rest of it. And that's what I'm going to do today, because I'm in charge, right? And if I think that's the best way to move forward, hey, here's the deal. I don't care if it's the best way to move forward. It's going to be cool, and I'm going to do it, and we'll see what happens. But that's what I chose to do today. I didn't work for 10 years to get in a position where I created such a job for myself that I couldn't make decisions like that on a daily basis. So yeah, man, who cares if it's even the best thing to do? It is the thing you need to do. It's what you want to do. And that's what we really want in our businesses,
It reminds me of something that you have given up to do this.
What's that?
Control.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And I think that's part of what I've been wrestling with, is giving up control. Even though, it's so funny, as we have this program and we tell people, give up control, how to establish trust, with your VAs and stuff. But sometimes but especially me, I don't take my own medicine.
That's right. Listen, you can't coach yourself. Yeah. And if anybody thinks they can, then you are a liar or a hypocrite, one of the two. So you better sit down and say, oh, I need to start self-coaching. You can work through programs. You can do things like that, but you can't look in the mirror and see, the logs in your own eye. You can't do it. And like, I have given up a lot of control. Like, like our entire January is being scheduled right now by our team. I gave up total creative control. Like, I don't know nor listen to this podcast after we record it. Hannah has 100% full executive control over what makes it on the air. So I don't even know if some of the stuff I say gets on the air. I don't even go back and listen to it, because I'm afraid I will go back and try to be like, oh, do this, do that. we have an audit about once a quarter and just kind of listen to an episode and we say, hey, what if we added a segment or something? But like, I don't do that. So I've given up total creative control over something that I had creative control of the first 6 years of our business. And my schedule it's a funny thing. I decide what I want to do, but I have given up probably 80% of control of my schedule to Jocelyn and my chief of staff, because I am not good at tempo. I am not good at pacing. I am not good necessarily. I'm good at what to do, not when to do it, right? Or when things need to be done. So I've given that control up. You know, like when I got into this week, Dave, I had no clue that you were my Thursday 11 o'clock appointment. I didn't even know that until today when I got here and said, who am I talking to, right? They just tell me, you know, hey, Thursday is your podcast day. And in our weekly meeting on Mondays, I meet with my team for 2 hours from 11 to 1 every Monday as a touch base. And we just hang out. I've given that up. But that I know those 2 hours are gone forever, right? I've given up that control. I've got a roundtable mastermind that I meet with. Those are our, I don't want to say like higher level or elite, but it's really super dedicated people who get group coaching from me. 5:30 to 7:30 every Monday. Like, that's on the schedule and we don't change it. You know, so there are things where you'll have to give up something, but I mean, I get so much more out of it, like all this control of my life, being able to use all the times in between what they tell me to be at, like, and you know, it just works out. And the thing is too, we get locked into our railroad tracks, but I'm laying the tracks. I can rip up the tracks and relay them every 6 months if I don't like the way it's flowing. It's not like I have to do the roundtable on Monday forever. If we felt like the next 6 months it should be on Tuesday, I would change it. You know what I'm saying? But for now, it works. It's where it is. I do money on the 10th and the 25th of every month, right? That's when I sit down and look at the big picture of money in and money out. But, you know, I used to do it on the 7th and the 14th. But the 10th and the 25th worked better this year because like all those days fell on days I liked, and we could do and I looked at the we planned all of we were planning our travel this year, right? So me and Jocelyn said, all right, where are we going in January? Where are we going in February? Where we travel every month somewhere, right? Okay. So we looked at Anna Joe's cheer schedule. Jocelyn goes to Mexico with her mastermind in March every year. I go on a houseboat trip every year. Me and her want to go. It's our oh God. It's my 17th anniversary, I think. I don't know. Love you, babe. I don't remember the dates. Not good with flow, remember? But like, we're going to try to go to Turks and Caicos. Like, we just planned all our trips. And I looked at the calendar and I noticed all year, every month, no matter what day it was on, the 12th and the 28th were free. So I shot a message to our team and I said, every Q&A in 2021 is going to be on the 12th and the 28th because it just worked, right? Yeah. You know what I'm saying? But now those days are gone, but that's freedom. I know what days are still here to plan everything. So it's the same thing right there. What are you going to give up? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's great advice.
Okay, cool. Listen, hey, we don't have to beat the dead horse. I know you're like, I see you processing, and I want to make sure that I got some time to help you with anything else you might need. So are there any other questions that you've got right now? And then we can talk later in the forums and stuff about like what you're going to give up, when you're going to block your time, and all that good stuff.
Yeah, one quick question.
Go ahead.
Well, right now we're pricing our course and / community as 6-month access for $597. And the way we've got it is, then of course that leaves us a little bit of room for coupons and affiliate. All right. I've been playing with or thinking about making it more on just a standard monthly basis. Whatever that price is, so we can do free trials or $1 trials and all that kind of stuff. Do you have any thoughts on that?
So did you say $597?
Yeah.
Okay, so if we do a straight divide that by 6, we come up with about $100 a month. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So in theory, it would be more than that because you want to make that 6-month price look like a discount. So I mean, you're talking $129, $149, but you know, so why did you come up with 6 months at first? Was it just to get commitment?
Well,
or was it just a random pull out of the hat number?
Okay, so one of the things that that Larry does, he's connected with a lot of folks. I don't know if you've heard of James Malinchak and a bunch of those guys, and Craig Duswalt. But what they do is they bring together, you know, a couple hundred people in a room and they sell stuff from the stage.
Sure.
And so what happens is when you sell stuff from the stage, you've got to have something that's really a $1,000 price point or more, and 50% goes to the promoter, right? So the way we said, okay, we're going to do this on, we're going to make it not like a $997 program, and with a couple of other extra benefits when he would sell it from the stage.
Gotcha. There's another way to do that with memberships, though.
That would be basically a year access at $997.
So here's what you can do. Okay. And I know this because I'm in talks. We've talked to a company about doing this for us. Right. So what you can do is you can establish a price point, like you've established $597. So on a year, $597 times 2, right, would be like $1,200.
$1,200.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. $1,200. So when you're selling it on stage, do a lifetime program, lifetime access, and just double your annual price. And that gives you like a $2,500 product. Because lifetime access is lifetime of the product. I mean, if you're not in business in 10 years, I get it. But like you can just have a thing like one of our clients, she does a USB with the courses and she sends it to them. Now they own it. So they've got lifetime access, even if something were to go away or change.
Oh, that's a good idea.
You know what I'm saying? And then like what you do is that way you give a higher price point on stage. It's lifetime access. It's a great sale. You get access to everything forever. This works with coaching, by the way. My buddy does this with coaching, sells lifetime access. It's fine. 80-20 rule always applies in everything you're doing from church to school to business. 20% of the people are going to show up and 80% are going to buy it and not show up. That's not your fault. That's their fault because they chose not to, right? You're here to provide opportunity, not outcome. That's what business is all about. And so basically it's not going to overwhelm you at any point in your membership community, Q&As or anywhere to sell lifetime, right? It's a high price point. It's not like 100 people are going to buy this every time they see it, you know? But that way it lets you play more within your pricing, you know? I do think the theme of commitment is good for your brand. I kind of like that. Like I'm an entrepreneur. Like I don't know if I would actually do a monthly membership in yours. I would do a quarterly. You know what I'm saying? If you could do like a quarterly for like $297, you'd get more cash flow frequently. Well, let's say it was $597. So what's that divided by 2? Let's see, divided by 2. 600.
Like $297.
Yeah, $297. So if you did $297 quarterly and maybe got rid of the 6-month pricing, right? You could do $297 a quarter, which still gives you $1,200. Then do your $997 for annual, so it's a better discount to commit up front. I would really stress that we only work with committed entrepreneurs. That's why we do a quarterly plan and an annual plan, right? And then let you have that nice $2,000 price point, right? $1,997 or whatever, for these live events where they sell on stage, or if you wanted to do that, maybe you do that quarterly. You offered a lifetime deal or something, like we're your lifetime team building friends or whatever, That would give you more consistent cash flow. And it would also give you, like, here's the cool thing about quarterlies. I love quarterlies. I love selling quarterly plans. They seem that they're just awesome, because once you start selling quarterlies every month, you start getting renewals on quarterlies every month. You just have a different cohort renewing, right? So it's like a Model T assembly line. Like, all right, first 3 months, I'm selling, nobody's renewing. But then all of a sudden, okay, let's say I sell 100 quarterlies in this month, and then 100 quarterlies in next month, and 100 quarterlies in the third month. Now the first people renew, and I'm getting new quarterlies. And so they start stacking like monthly members at that point, because they renew really well. Quarterlies usually renew really well, way better than annual plans, So that could create more consistent cash flow than just this big 6-month hit every once in a while, and that 6-month amount is big enough where people might be like, I don't know if I want to pay that again. Right. But $297, maybe you get the third $297, and all of a sudden you're making lifetime value around $900 instead of $600 for people canceling or something like that.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So I think I'd do that probably with your pricing. That way you don't have to change the price. You can just go quarterly and annual, and you have a good sales pitch for this. Guys, it takes commitment to build a team. And we only let people into our community who are willing to commit for at least 3 months, 90 days of going through the program, hiring their first person. And then that could become the 3-month goal, right? Like learn it, go through the hiring process, hire your first VA. Now, the second part of the program is, all right, now you need help because now we got to get systems. Now we got to do this or whatever the order of your thing is. It might be systems first in the first quarter, hiring in the second quarter, training in the third quarter, right? Then challenges in the fourth of whatever comes up. But you build in more retention, I think, if you do a quarterly pricing point on this particular thing. And I only say that because I know I actually have coached people that do VA sites like this. So I've seen it. I've seen how it works. Cool.
Okay. Sounds good. Good thing.
Good stuff, man. Well, listen, what a conversation. I mean, this was fun, dude. I love I told you before we came on air, I was looking in the background. If you're watching this on YouTube, and Dave's got all these amazing dry erase boards, and I was like, this guy speaks my love language, dry erase ink, right? I knew we were going to be able to like go through some issues, brainstorm some stuff, but I want to make sure we close up this conversation with an action step because nothing matters until you take action. So in the next 24 hours, maybe the next week, of all the things that we've talked about today, what do you plan on taking action on to move your business forward?
I think it's, the two-step process is, what am I willing to give up to get this accomplished? Number one. And then number two after that is, how do I give 3 hours of my day, 6 days a week before anything else? How do
Boom. Consistent, prolific, and relentless. That's what I'm talking about. Also, too, this is another thing to realize. You don't have to give it up forever. I forgot to say that earlier, right? We're not giving it up forever. When Jocelyn gave up cable, it was the year of the Summer Olympics. And Jocelyn, I don't think anyone out there can comprehend how much Jocelyn loves to watch the Summer Olympics. But you know what we told each other? If we give up watching the Summer Olympics on TV this year, there will come a day where we can fly to the Olympics any year we want to ever go in the future. When we sold our house, we said, we're going to get a bigger house someday because of this. Our house was, I kid you not, this is not made up. Our house we sold was 2,400 square feet. The house I live in today is 4,800. And I did not plan it that way. It just worked out where it came back twofold what we had before. So remember that when you're making those decisions and write down what you're going to get back so that you can kind of make that a reality. All right, buddy. Listen, man, thank you so much for being on the show today, dude. And thank you for being so transparent. I know there's a lot of people out there that are going to absolutely love this episode. They're going to get a lot of value out of it too. And I know it's a big ask to let me coach somebody on air live, but man, everybody got so much value, dude. And I just appreciate you for being in the community.
Awesome.
All right, guys, that wraps up my interview with Dave Braun. Had a lot going on there, but Dave's got a lot going on. But the problem is when you have too much going on, you've got to prioritize. You've got to put things in order. You've got to figure out what you can do and can't do and should do and shouldn't do if you're going to make progress in your online business, if you're going to take your online dream to the next level, if you're going to build a business that can change your family's future. And it can be really, really hard to figure all of that out alone, but you do not have to walk this journey alone. We can help you flip your life inside the Flipped Lifestyle community with the Flipped Lifestyle Blueprint. That's our training program that shows you the exact order, step one through whatever, to get you to where you want to be, to start, build, and grow a membership site of your own. We can help you inside the Flipped Lifestyle community. That's why Dave was on the show today, guys. He's in the Flipped Lifestyle community. He's taking action in the forums. He's not only asking questions, but he's helping other people find answers. That's what the community is all about. And hey, you can talk to me a couple times a month. I do live Q&As with our community, with our active members inside of the Flipped Lifestyle community every single month. And I do Q&As from the forums in our Facebook group as well. We would love to help you just like we've helped Dave on today's show. Flip your life and take action toward your dreams. All you have to do is go to flippedlifestyle.com/free. That's FLIPPED lifestyle.com/free. And you can get access to the resources you need to start your online business journey or take your online business to the next level. That's flippedlifestyle.com/free, FLIPPED lifestyle.com/free to get started today. All right, guys, we are about out of time today. Thank you so much for listening to the show. Before we go, I've got to share a Bible verse with you. Jocelyn and I love to end every episode of the Flip Lifestyle podcast with a verse from the Bible because that's where we get a lot of our inspiration. That's where we get a lot of our motivation in business and life. And normally I've got a verse for you to share, but I'm excited today because Dave has brought a verse that really means a lot to him. And I'm going to give him the floor to share that with you today. So, Dave, take it away.
All right, this is from John chapter 1, verses 12 through 13. Bible says, "Yet to all who did receive him, to those who believed in his name, he gave the right to become children of God. Children born not of natural descent or of a husband's decision or a husband's will, but born of God." It just tells me it's not about what I do. It's about what God has done for me.
All right, guys, that is all the time that we have for this week. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Flipped Lifestyle Podcast. Make sure that you are subscribed on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts on your device. Download a few episodes and binge them a little bit onto your device. And if you've not left us a 5-star review, go do that right now. If we've ever done anything to help you in your journey, if we've inspired you to get started, if we've got you fired up and ready to go, and you love what we do here on the podcast, please leave us that 5-star review. If you need us on social media, you can find us at FlippedLS. That's FLIPPEDLS. Go and tell us hi, say hello, follow us on social media. We do monitor our own social media accounts, and we would love to talk to you on social media. And don't forget, we do have a second podcast now. It's called the Membership Masters Podcast. Twice a week, we're doing the Flipped Lifestyle Podcast, where we're helping real members from our community, helping you with the mindset and technical questions that you need to move your business forward. But every single week, I interview some of the biggest entrepreneurs on the planet on my other podcast. It's called the Membership Masters Podcast. You want to look that up. You want to subscribe to that. You want to leave a review to that so you can hear me talk to people like Pat Flynn, Amy Porterfield, Brooke Castillo, Stu McLaren, James Schramko, and other huge entrepreneurs that are doing amazing things. And we get a mastermind conversation with them where we go deep into their business to give you the tips to scale and go to the next level as well. So check out everything we got going on online. Thank you so much for listening this week. And until next time, get out there, take action, and do whatever it takes to flip your life. We'll see you then.
Bye.
Got a good office space there behind you. I'm feeling like I want to go brainstorm on those dry erase boards.
I know, dry erase boards. I got another one over here.
That's amazing. Dude, my buddy, I'm in a mastermind with, and he just got new offices like a couple years ago, and they painted every wall in the entire office space with dry erase paint.
Mm-hmm.
So they have dry erase everywhere, like everywhere you go. You can't, if you have an idea, they just stop and write on all the walls.
Yeah, they're awesome. They are awesome.
Oh,
looks like you need some.
You know, I've got a couple in here. I'm more of a notebook kind of guy. I like to sketch and paper and like our meetings are all on Zoom in the last year. Like our team is just all remote. So I kind of was like, do we really need all these dry erase boards? You know, like I've got one over here that I can kind of piddle on if I need to, but you know. One more thing before we go. Thank you so much for listening to the Flipped Lifestyle Podcast. If you love the Flipped Lifestyle Podcast, if we bring a little joy and a little happiness and we bring some knowledge into your life every single week, could you do us a favor? Go to Apple Podcast and hit subscribe. Download a few of the podcast episodes onto your phone. Apple's algorithm loves seeing downloads and it loves seeing those subscribes. And please leave us an honest review over on Apple Podcast. That'll help us grow the show, expand the mission, and reach more people so that we can help them change their family's future as well. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next time.